You're listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt, where we talk about hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, and everything else that the great outdoors has to offer. Let's get into it. All right, Rob, good to see you, mate. How's things? It's been a while. I haven't spoke to you in a couple of months. Been good?
Yeah, mate, been real good. Haven't done much hunting, but been pretty busy otherwise. How about you?
Mate, likewise, been out camping an absolute heap. We got the new caravan, and
Nice.
I know you know the stories, and if the listeners have heard the devastating times every time we went camping and just something went wrong and it was chaos. Got the new van
set up,
mate. It is absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
I've gone away a couple of times now. This weekend we're at Kyola down on the south coast. It was not the greatest weather, blowing a gale, and it just stood up to it. No issues. Like that tie gear on the awning is just a game changer. They are so good.
Nice.
We were just like, it was shaking the van. The wind was going that hard, and it was just held it nicely the whole time. So, but mate, could not be happier with the caravan. Literally, just we bought one obviously with the twins and the big fella. And when I say big, he's only 5. But needing a triple bunk, that narrowed the options down and something quick and off road.
Yeah.
So we end up getting the Mars camper, Mars Elite. So triple bunk. It's sensational. King bed. Pops out the back in about 30 seconds. So easy to pack up. Could not be happier. So it's been a dream. Both trips, the wife is so happy because she was very nervous that we outlaid a lot of money and we could have chaos like the last few trips, and that didn't happen. So very, very happy
once you get
about
them
that.
set up though. Like once you get them set up and everything's in them, and all you got to do is hook up and go, chuck some food in the fridge.
It's a game changer. Well, that's what we noticed because I liked my last setup, and you saw it. It was a good little setup for me. But then having the tent on top of that, and that, it just was clunky, and it was just sort of a makeshift. And the caravan, just as you said, everything's in there. It's just literally throughout the week because the fridge is running. It's got a heap of solar. It just runs off solar all the time. We just let it keep running. Chuck in the food a couple of days beforehand. Even this time we didn't, but we can get to the point we just hook up the car. So literally I get home from work, and the beauty of being a school teacher is I can get out pretty early on a Friday arvo and bang, straight out. So it's good. Easy towing.
Yeah, well, once it's set up, you're more often to go out too.
Well, that's what we noticed. We just went we've had it for 4 weeks and been out 2 weekends, and we'd be out more. But coming into the silly season, I think we've got every single weekend booked up, including one where I'll be seeing you for Tony's wedding. So excited about that. Congrats, Tony and Zena. We're looking forward to celebrating. So that'll be good to catch up in person, and that's not far away now. So it's kicking along. So, well, that's it. Yeah. I'm glad there's another Aussie beside me. So hopefully we're on the same table. Maybe they'll spread us out because, too many on one table might look bad. I don't know. But no, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that one. And is super excited about that. But so no hunting, but camping a lot, which has been great. So I can't complain, and it's going to make the hunting trips a hell of a lot easier too. So
it'd be good. Hand out hunting. I'll just bring my swag and bloody pitch that out the front, and then share all the good stuff with you.
I was saying, mate, the fridge, the shower, got everything. It's just like it's not even like camping. Sort of. That's the only. I said that to the wife. I said the only thing it does not. I said it is, but it's not. It just feels too luxurious to that. I was sort of, but then convenience with young kids. I was like, I'm definitely sold, and we probably should have done this a long time ago.
You got a hose hooked up so you can hose the kids off at the end of the day.
Yeah, the shower's there, so it's just attached and takes 2 seconds. Hot water, you name it. Just two 120 litre tanks, or mains if you need them, whatever suits, and just easy. The best part actually is the camp kitchen. It's just a full outdoor camp kitchen, and it's huge. Like it takes about 2 minutes to set up, but it's got double side sink, gas, like 4 burner, and just being able to sit out there literally just cook away, and the kids can be sitting there on the little. We got little Coleman sort of. It's sort of a flat pack, so it has the 2 bench seats and the table. Oh man, it's so good for kids because we can just throw the like the colouring in books and that while we're cooking there, and everything's just there centralised. Plus, my kids are messy, so eating outside is definitely the way to go. So that's can't complain about that. But no, mate, you'll be able to throw that swag under. That's fine.
Yeah, nice. We've been away a couple of times. We've got a Jayco pop top. And since I got the pup off Frank, I haven't been hunting, but we've been out 3 times in the 4-5 months I've had her. So we've been making the most of it too.
How's the training going?
Training's going well. She's going real well, mate. It was obviously we're in a group chat, all the guys that got a pup off Frank, and we're always, swapping photos and stories and progress or otherwise. And I wasn't struggling in the first couple of months, but I felt like I was kind of falling behind the Deer Dog Blueprint schedule.
Yep.
Like he does say it's not a schedule, it's just, kind of a guideline in terms of a timeline. But then, you get on the Facebook page that Paul Michaels has got set up, and everyone with the GSP is like, just wait. They take a bit longer to mature. And she has, I have, 1 to 2 really good weeks and make heaps of progress, and then kind of have a week or 2 of not steps backwards, but kind of she just starts to get a bit silly. And then I think every time I start introducing stuff, she kind of switches on a bit. So it's going well though. I'm up to part 6, so we're doing scent training with the skin. We're doing drags, wind scent, doing heaps of obstacles with her. I've got a couple of felled trees in the backyard, and run her on those all the time, and taken her to the river and to the beach, and done heaps of water work with her. And I've progressed to rimfire exposure. So you start off with a clapper, just slap 2 bits of wood together, put a hinge at the end, and bang them real loud. And kind of been doing that. Started introducing that a bit earlier than the plan otherwise says, but now I'm kind of on track again with the rimfire, just because I needed somewhere to do it, but found somewhere to do it. So last weekend gave her a few shots with the 22, and she didn't even flinch or bat an eyelid, so it's going well.
Yeah, nice.
Hoping by about mid next year, get her out for her first hunt, I think. Kind of from that April to June period is where if she stays on track, where we should be able to go out for a hunt together. So can't wait.
Yeah, that's exciting. Add a different element to it as well.
Yeah. Yep.
How much time are you spending per week with her?
It's become a real routine. Like I've just embedded it in. So I basically do a session with her before work every day. It's only 15 minutes. So I do that, chuck her in the kennel, go straight to work. And then I usually do at least one more with her in the afternoon after work at some stage. And then she gets a bit of free time in the middle of the day. So, I'm probably, the days I have to go down to Brisbane for work, I'm probably doing about half an hour a day with her. And then on the weekends, and usually Fridays, I get to spend a bit more time with her. So I might either just do a longer walk with her in the middle of the day, or chuck an extra session in if we're learning something new that's interesting for her. So on those days, I probably try and get about 45 minutes to an hour in. But it's actually, time spent training, it's not that much of an impost. Once you build the routine, if you can spend 45 minutes to an hour at the gym every day, you have more than enough time to train a dog, as long as you're willing to sacrifice, 15 or 20 minutes of that time every day, which is pretty much what I've done. Just backed off on the training a bit and spent that time with her. But I look forward to it. Like when I went up to NT with the boys, I was missing her every day, and every morning I woke up and I'd think of her, because that's usually when we'd be training. It just becomes a routine, and it's pretty easy. I think it only took about a month to get to that point where I wasn't kind of making myself do it. It was just happening, and I was happy to be doing it.
Yeah, nice. How'd you go up in NT?
Good, mate. Good. We had an awesome trip. I got onto a buff, which people following the Hunters Campfire would have seen. Got a barra as well. It was a pretty good story. I don't know if they've said too much about it, so I won't say too much. I won't give their story away. But Frank had an interesting week. But yeah, it was awesome, mate. It was such a good adventure. Even just the drive itself out there, I really loved. That's the furthest west I've driven through Queensland, and the furthest north as well. So good drive, good bunch of blokes. It was an awesome week. It's bloody hot, obviously, and I got pretty crook at the start. But yeah, it was still awesome.
Yeah, nice. All right, so you had an idea about a podcast, and I loved the idea, and you were going to run the figures because I said, listen, I got nothing on this. This is not my area. So I'll tap into you here, and your thoughts were of just showing people, I guess, the costing to be able to do a DIY hunt over in New Zealand. And breaking it down, and you went through the exercise and thought it'd be a really good opportunity to share that. So I thought that was a great idea because I see a lot of hunters, there's sort of different types. There's the people that have got a lot of cash to throw and they're happy to go and do all the guided hunting. There's the opposite end of the spectrum that don't have the money, that I guess the disposable income to be able to do that, but still want opportunities. Then you've got people chasing trophies or chasing meat and everything in between. So I like the idea of that because, the podcast on just talking about going to an outfitter probably is a pretty boring, easy, quick podcast. I found this guy, paid him money, went, done. So let's do the trickier one and go doing it yourself, a DIY, and I'll let you take over, mate, and talk us through the process, how you went.
Yeah, all right. So, as you would know, I've been to NZ twice, but I'm in a pretty lucky position. I've got a Kiwi mate, so I've never had to pay for accommodation. I've never bothered. I was never going to go with a guide because my mate is a guide, and I'm not paying him. So it was always relatively low cost for me. The two trips I've done, I was having a bit of a messenger chat with a bloke called Greenie that I message every now and then. We swap a bit of info about hunting spots and whatnot, and kind of just said, oh yeah, I reckon you could do it for about $1,500 a week in NZ if you're willing to walk and not pay for a helicopter. And he was like, oh really, is it that doable? I thought, oh shit, I should probably do a bit more maths on this, because the times that I went, the first one we helicoptered in and walked out, and the second one we helicoptered in and out, but I was splitting the cost with two other blokes each time. But it was still fairly reasonable, I thought. And my Kiwi mate, Mike, as well, he's starting up a bit of a thing on the side, a side hustle at the moment, where he's taking people that want to do like DIY style hunting, but just have that mentor. So it's not really like, you wouldn't strictly call it guiding, but he's kind of going to, mentor people through all the admin and all the planning and go out with them. So, they don't hurt themselves on the terrain. But even doing that, there's all these fees and stuff that he has to pay to be able to do that legally. So that naturally gets passed on to consumers. Because him and I have been talking about heaps, I was like, right, I know exactly what needs to be done now, even the steps that I haven't done before. I'm going to New Zealand in January and April next year, so I've got to sort this admin out for myself anyway. I thought, why don't I just pick one day and I'll just spend a couple of hours going through and like go up to the point of credit card details and book every single plan and book every single part of the trip. And I didn't quite get to 1,500 to do it solo, but I got bloody close. And I came up with a few ideas at the end on how to get it down under 1,500. So I am saying that you can spend a week hunting in New Zealand DIY for under $1,500, which I think is pretty good.
It's pretty damn good. When you consider, if you look at other pastimes or hobbies, snow skiing, you go down to Thredbo or Jindabyne, pardon me,
Yeah.
you go down to Jindabyne and I think the day pass, we looked at it this year, and for one person, don't quote me exactly, but it was up around the 500, 600 mark, I'm sure of it, because we were looking on, damn, that's expensive. And then that's without accommodation and then all the things that go with it. So it's a big one if you're talking that you can go overseas and you can hunt for around that $1,500 mark, depending on how you want to add. And I mean, I'm very curious here as to see what was added and what was taken away to get under that price. Like, what are you living on 2-minute noodles, or are you having a little bit nicer food one of the days?
I reckon we're doing it pretty luxe.
Okay.
We'll go through all the fine detail if you want.
Yep, I'm all ears.
All right. So these were the couple of guidelines that I had. I was like, all right, it's got to be only 5 business days off, because for most people, time is money. I don't get holiday pay or anything in my current work. So, a day off for me is a day not being paid. So I took that into consideration. But I was like, if we leave on a Saturday and come back the following Sunday, we should get a week on the ground. 7 days, 6 nights. I think that's pretty good. One of the assumptions I made was that you've got all the gear. I purposely picked March for the time to book it, because I think there's a bit of a less of an impost on the gear needed versus going, in June or July when it's definitely going to be snowing. So I think most hunters would have what you need already gear-wise. If you've got a good sleeping bag, a good shelter, and some good cold and wet weather gear, you're good to go. I don't wear like $500, $600 alpine boots when I'm over there in the hills. Even when I went at the end of April, I actually just wore like military style combat boots, and they were fine. I think if you pair them with sealskin socks or something like that, even if the weather turns sour, you're doing all right. I also thought, okay, I've got to make it walk in, walk out. I don't want to add helicopter costs to it. But if people are interested in that, it works out roughly $1 a second or something, like $60 a minute. So if you do your maths, normally you can split a chopper with 3 people by the time you take packs. But you'd probably be looking at no less than $600 each to get a chopper in and out, I would say. So I cut that out. But what that means is basically you spend the first and last day walking. But that's still, 5 solid days of hunting. Even if you get a couple of days of bad weather, hopefully you're going to get at least 2 or 3 good days of hunting on the ground. I didn't count taxidermy in as a cost because it's not strictly needed. But I do have the cost of taxidermy that I'll chuck in at the end if people want to see what it would cost if they were to throw that in. And that's it. So I've gone through, I've found actual flights. I've gone onto NZ Woolworths and priced all the food. I have a food allowance per day that I use to do that. We've bought a gas canister for our jet boil. We've paid for the NZ Topo 50 mapping app, which was $3.50. We've paid our $25 visit a firearm license application fee. I've pretty much paid for everything that I could think of if I was to go and do this without my mate. Hire car, 1 night accommodation at the end. Anyway, let's go through it. So the overview of the plan, I've done it as flying in to Christchurch from Sydney and returning, departing on a Saturday, coming back on the Sunday. We've got 7 days, 6 nights hunting on the ground. Tahr is the target species. And then we've splurged on the last night in NZ, and we're going to get an Airbnb. The reason we're doing that is so we can do post-hunt admin, clean our stuff, hopefully dry it. And if you wanted to try and do like a DIY Euro mount and quickly ball it out, you can have a crack. Otherwise, you've got time to drop it off at a taxidermist at the end as well. I actually went through and researched areas that I've not hunted before, and found an area called Potts River Boundary Creek. So I've got a link here that I've sent to you if people are interested, but it tells you what permit you need. You can have a look at the terrain, but basically it's a mountainous bit of terrain. There's bluffs everywhere. There's quite a bit of bush in parts of it, but parts of it are scree slope. Got some decent elevation, like you're looking up about 1,900 to 2,000 metres in parts. So if you wanted to get up on the tops, there's the opportunity for that. Otherwise, there's two pretty decent main river systems running through the area, and then you've got all the side creeks off that. So there's heaps of spots in that area. And I think, if you had particularly bad wind from any direction, you could probably find a spot to hunt around there. There's a hut in the centre of it called Potts Hut. So if you don't have, a good tent or awesome sleeping gear, you just have to accept that you can't, maybe go as far as you want from the hut, but you've got the hut to sleep in if you need it. I'll go through the day by day shortly, but I'll just go through food first. So what I accounted for is exactly what I would eat. So I've got one dehydrated meal a day, one packet of noodles, one packet of that, like continental pasta type stuff, a tuna sachet, specifically in the sachet, not the can, because you don't want to carry that rubbish. And then for snacks, I had trail mix and a few blocks of chocolate and coffee. I don't know about you, but I find that I actually struggle to eat when I do these things. I might eat a bit at the end of the day, or sometimes I might have a bit for breakfast, like if the weather's a bit crap. But I kind of find that I really only eat one proper meal a day, and then I just snack a bit. I don't know what it is, but once I start stomping around with the pack on, I just lose my appetite a bit. But, a week in the NZ Hills, not eating much would never hurt me, especially by November, December. So there's prices there for all those food. Like I literally went onto Woolworths site and did it up as if I was going to get it click and collect from the Woolies near Christchurch Airport. So the total cost of food, so having all that stuff while hunting, was 213 New Zealand dollars, which comes down to 184 Aussie. So there's enough food there to eat from the moment you land right up until, there's actually enough to eat for the last night as well. But I'm assuming that once you're in the Airbnb, you're not going to be eating noodles. You might want to go out for dinner, but I didn't include that final dinner in the cost. To me, that's spending money. Already spoke about it's $25 for your firearm license, $3.50 for the NZ Topo app. If anyone is going there, I highly recommend you get that. It's $3.50 for the South Island, $3.50 for the North Island, but it's a really good app. You can look at satellite photos, topo. You can drop points. It's got this cool feature where you can push a little camera button and make your phone look at a mountain range, and it comes up on the screen what the name of that mountain range is. Anyway, so we're hunting now. So the plan is we get into Christchurch. We're landing at 12:40 p.m. So we're getting there just after midday. So we've got enough time to get down into Woolies, pick up that food. Also accounted for enough time to then go to hunting and fishing, which is about 15-20 minutes away on the other side of Christchurch, and grab your jet ball gas and grab anything that you might have forgotten, because no doubt you'll forget something. And then you're picking up your hire car from the airport when you get there as well. So the cost of the hire car, we're just grabbing a little two-wheel drive SUV. It's $84 a day in NZ. So the total cost to have that for the whole time you're there, you don't drop it off until you're flying out, is 585 Aussie dollars. So that's our second biggest cost on this trip. Our largest cost being the flights, which was $710 return. That flight, though, was with Qantas. You get 2 checked bags, and your firearm in its own case doesn't count as one of those checked bags. So you've got heaps of room. Some people would say, well, you can probably get away without getting the hire car for the whole time. You can get, say you hired a car for the first day and did what you need to do, or just, use an Uber and then paid for a shuttle, because the shuttles are the shuttles are readily available, because people are always getting shuttled to and from parts of the Tiaroa Trail. But I think by the time you get one at each end, you're not far off the cost of a cheap hire car, but you also don't have anywhere to lock your stuff up while you're gone. Whereas if you could leave this car at the trailhead, lock up whatever you're not taking on the hike with you, it's there when you come back. You've got non-hunting clothes to change into, stuff like that. I think it's worth doing. All right, should have covered those flights in the car first. But anyway, so we turn up, we grab our stuff from Woolies, we go to hunting and fishing, and then we head on about a 2.5 hour drive southwest from Christchurch down to the area that we're hunting in. There's an access road called the Hakateri Potts Road, which has a gravel car park at the Potts River Tracks trailhead. From there, we're looking at about a 20k hike into Potts Hut that I mentioned before, which is kind of in the centre of the hunting area. It wouldn't be an easy hike. I was looking at it and thinking I'd probably be budgeting for somewhere between 6 to 10 hours, depending on how fit you are. If you remind me at the end, I'll talk about fitness and give my experience in how I've trained previously. But I think most hunters that can spend a weekend hunting either in the high country or stomping up and down hills in summer can probably do that 20 Ks in about 10 hours. But for this plan, we're going to pull up at that trailhead and we're just going to camp at the car overnight. I think if you got there early enough, I kind of think you're going to get there at about 7 p.m. on this plan. So it's probably starting to get dark or close to. If you're not super confident, just chill out, wake up early, and then punch in the next day. So day 2 on the hunt. This is the Sunday now, on the 22nd of March. We're hiking into Potts Hut. Drop our gear off if there's no one in it and you want to hunt in it. Otherwise, you have the option to walk a bit further north. It does look like a really good hunting area a bit further up the valley to the north. There's also another system further down to the south. I personally look at that and think, I'd get there, drop my gear off at the hut, pack a day bag, and I'd probably just try and find a bit of high ground where I can glass each way. And even if you split up, if you're with a mate, or if if there's 3 or 4 of you and break up into pairs or something and try and cover each direction in the afternoon and then meet back up at the hut that night. You never know your luck, you might get something on that day, but it's really now the next few days that I see as the main hunting time. So from days 3 to 7, which is the Monday to the Friday, it's just hard hunting. If you've got good shelter or you're either comfortable fly camping because the weather's good, I personally would be, looking at doing probably 48-hour little stints either up or down the valley, weather permitting, and probably only coming back to the base camp if I needed to for weather. You just have to keep in mind, though, in this area that I've picked, if you go north from the hut, you've got to make that ground up at some stage. Otherwise, you're going to have an epic hike out. So just got to keep that in mind on this particular itinerary. That Friday, you might have to spend a bit of time walking back towards the hut in the original track. So that brings us to the Saturday, day 8. Get up early, send it back to the car park. It's probably not the time that I would be hunting unless I hadn't taken anything at this stage and I saw something awesome. Then I'd probably spend a few hours to hunt it. But you just have to keep in mind you might be losing a bit of your admin time, noting that the following day is a Sunday. and Christchurch isn't Sydney CBD, so not everything might be open when you get there. But pretty much got this whole day just to get back. If you can get back to the car kind of by about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can be back in Christchurch by 3 or 4. You can swing past the taxidermist if you've got a couple of skulls or skins to drop off. Otherwise, you can just go straight back to this Airbnb that I've chosen. I should share my screen with you. Anyway, the Airbnb I've chosen, I went fancy. So this is the third highest cost. This is costing us $289 for the one night. But the reason I selected this one over, there's heaps of cheaper options, talking anywhere from 90 to 120 NZ dollars for a night. But this one is a 2-bedroom, 2 beds, 1.5 baths home. It's got its own courtyard, so you can hang stuff up. It's not just a house in a room. A room in a house or something like that. It's got a laundry. It's got a full kitchen. I really think in this particular spot, you can do everything you need to get ready to come home. And you can also share it with a mate, which we'll talk about getting costs down at the end, but that's an obvious way to reduce cost. And then, the next day, I've got us scheduled in to go to the hot pools at Christchurch. There's a place called New Brighton. It's on the beach there. It's this council-run hot pool. There's a bunch of pools. There's a cold plunge, sauna. It's a pretty good facility. It costs you about $20 to get in there for a few hours, soak in, and then we drive back to the airport, drop our car off, and we're flying home. And we are home at about 3 p.m. on the Sunday.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So the total cost for all that, we've got admin $25, the app $3.50, food $184, post hunt accommodation $289, our flights return was $710, our hire car was $585, which the exact price it all tallied up to was $1,797.97. That's to do it on your own.
That is much more affordable than I thought we'd get to. Because I think when you pitched it, I was like, my ears perked up because I don't know about you, but you're a dad. Shelling out big money that I feel takes away from my kids, I struggle with doing that. And you see $3,000-$4,000, adventures or outfitters and things like that, and I just go, I'm never going to be paying that because that's a significant chunk of money that my kids are missing out on. So hearing that $1,700, and then I think you touched on it really nicely before, saying if you shared with a mate, because you're going to pay your food because your food's your food, but that your second biggest cost, I think you said, was the car, which you have. Happy days. So then you've dropped it down, and that's probably well and truly now, I think probably around the 250 mark from what value you said for the whole week.
So you're coming in, if you just split this with one mate, you're coming in at $1,360 and 49 cents. So it's $437 cheaper, which
is gold.
Yeah,
and then
so
I reckon
how we're getting under 1,500.
I reckon you probably could look at the flights, because that midday sort of flights, if you went sort of red eye or it really weird times, I reckon you probably save a bit of cash there too. Yes, it's not a nice. I get it, but if you were really going, I'm just going to make it happen and I'm just going to do it as cheap as possible. You could save a little bit of cash there too. And then even the Airbnb, you could go to a caravan park or somewhere there just to pitch your tent again, access their camp kitchen, the laundry facilities, and hang everything out. So you could probably, if you didn't want to sort of splurge like you did, I like the idea of an Airbnb to chill out on that last night. Especially after a week in the bush. So I get that. But if you really wanted to go, no, look, I'm going to penny pinch, there's that option too. Yeah, it's very affordable.
Even if you can convince 3 mates to come, you can still all fit in the one car.
Yep.
You're still splitting. You can split that Airbnb by 4. It's coming right down. It's coming right down the cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're covering more ground. You're getting more information on that first 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
Potentially having, more success.
Yeah. And again, when you think about the cost, like I double checked while you were starting there of what the cost of a ski pass was, and it's roughly around the 200, and that makes sense because the 600 was in my mind, but that's for me, the wife, and the kids. So it's roughly around the 600 per day. Geez, like 2 days skiing is probably around a really whole week that you're just penny pinching and doing it a little bit on the cheap, but very, very achievable for most people, I would think. Because
I reckon a backpack hunt for me down in Victoria. So I'm going to drive because I'm going to want to bring stuff home. So I'm not going to fly. I'm not going to want to sacrifice what gear I take. I couldn't see myself doing that for any less than $1,000. Fuel. Probably going to get a night of accommodation at some stage. What have you. So I think that a lot of the people I've spoken to, I think would be very surprised by the cost breakdown. And there's some of the other ways I thought about how to reduce it. So dehydrated meals are relatively expensive. The ones I costed were $18 each. So that was, you can easily knock $50 off your food budget by just getting an extra packet of tuna and pasta instead of the dehydrated meal. Already spoke about the shuttle services to reduce money if you're on your own. You said the caravan park. I actually found a hostel that was $80 for the night, and it had a drying room and stuff like that you could use to hang your gear up. And then the other one, those exact flights that I booked. So you're dead right, you can get cheaper flights. You absolutely can. There's a really good function on Google when you just search for flights through that, and then you can, I can't remember what the name of the button was, but you click it and it shows you a bar graph of the cost of the return flight depending on what day you depart from. So you can literally just go to the lowest Saturday you find and pick that. Like, I think anywhere in that March to April window is a really good time to hunt NZ for the first go. At the end of April, you kind of taking a bit of a gamble. You might get early snowfall or the weather might turn a bit early, but in that March, early April part, the tar, skins and capes are still bloody good. They're not like full rut spec, but they're way better than, the scabby summer coats. You've obviously got good deer hunting during those months over there. So, I think it's a good time. That's what I was going to say. Those flights and specific flights that we booked, you actually could have got those exact flights for $108 cheaper if you went on to booking.com instead of booking direct through Qantas. And instead of booking it as a return flight, you just booked 2 individual flights on those exact flight numbers. I think this is a bit of a splurge way to do it. And it's still with one mate, under $1,400. That's bloody good.
Yeah, no,
I hope someone is surprised by this and decides to give it a go.
Yeah. Well, and if you are listening and you are going to do that, let us know how you go. Get in touch and say, hey, we're going to have a crack at this and go for it. So
I'm happy to send this bloody Word doc I've done up to anyone if they want it. It's got all the info. It's got all the links for the Google Maps where you got to drive to. It's got the doc links to it. There's a link to a forum post on there that talks about the animals that have been spotted in the last couple of months in the area. So, I
wonder if you also, I was just thinking, going off thing, I reckon if you jumped on a couple of the Facebook groups over there and posted, hey, I'm coming over, would anyone be interested in picking us up from the airport and dropping us off here? And I'll flick you some cash to try and reduce the hire car element. I wonder if you could get away with that.
I reckon for sure. I reckon if you put the offer out there like, hey, if someone's willing to help me out, to go hunt over there, I'm willing to return the favour if you come over here and, maybe arrange a bit of a reciprocal hunt for them, take them out to a state forest with a visitor's permit, or if you've got a bit of private, you can get them onto. Obviously, most of them are keen hunters, so I don't think it'd be too hard to find someone to do it. And my experience over there as well, and the few Kiwis I know, like, they're all super helpful. The ones I've met in person, and it's not hard to strike up a bit of a friendship. Most of them I have a yarn with just about anyone, so I think even once you're over there, you could probably tee up a few things if you wanted to go back another time.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think there'll be quite a few people out there that will be a bit shocked by the price. I know I probably thought it was going to be a lot more expensive. I know when you told us around that, I was like, oh, I wonder how that's going to play out. But that's good. For someone that hasn't done it or hasn't looked into it, to be able to hear your breakdown. And if you don't know Rob, I trust you, obviously, but you're very meticulous with your planning and whatnot. So you'd probably do a better job than I would. So I'm sitting here going, that is definitely achievable. And I think there'll be a few people that go, oh, yeah, okay, I didn't realise it was that achievable for that value.
Yeah. The other barrier to this is the admin behind it. Like, I think that might turn a few people off to get your own rifle and stuff over there. This part I've actually had to do for myself for my next trip. Historically, I've borrowed my mate's rifle. So all I had to do was make sure I had my visitor's firearm permit, which is super simple. But this time I'm going through the whole rigmarole of taking my own rifle and doing the import-export paperwork. Once you get your head around it, it's not that bad. At first, even for me, I was kind of a bit turned off, and I'm like, oh, can I just bloody borrow my mate's rifle again, or a mate of a mate, or whatever? It's not that bad, really. You just... I won't go into super detail because it'll probably take like 20 minutes to explain, but if anyone's thinking about doing this, first of all, make sure you've got a passport. If you haven't got one of those, get it going, or check your expiry date. But what you really want to do is, as soon as you can, book your flights, because to apply for your visitor's firearm license, you need to have flight numbers. You don't need to give them your tickets. So in theory, if you at least just decide on your flights, you could put that application in, but you don't really want to be trying to amend that at the last minute because a flight sold out or whatever. But it also kind of makes you committed, right? If you just book the flights and then get the rest going later, you're kind of committed to it. So if you get all that done, the guidelines on the website at the moment are 4 months for your firearm visitor's firearm license. Having said that, I just had an email back from them this week about my trip in January, which I only submitted the week before. So I think what they do is they actually just process things basically, at the last safe moment, or the priority that they process things in is, who's coming here next rather than who got it in first. And the guy that I was emailing back and forth, I'd made a mistake on how I'd listed the rifle that I was taking. They were super helpful, like not obstructive in any way. Really going to a lot of effort to make sure that it got done for me. So anyway, I think if you can try and book your flights 4 months out, get that visitor's firearm application in straight away. All you need for that is you need your flight details, you need the details of your weapon. So your obviously what action it is and make and model, caliber or cartridge, I should say, etc. A serial number it asks for. You have to list how many magazines you're taking and the type that they are. You need a photo of your firearms license. You need to send them a mugshot. Doesn't have to be like perfect passport style rules, but it's kind of similar, like just a headshot. And you need to send a photo of your passport page on your passport. So if you have a passport, you can probably start this 3 to 4 months out and you'll be good to go. Use all those details to get your VFL in straight away, the visitor's firearm license. Or the other thing you need to do in that application is you need to have a good explanation of how you're going to secure the firearms for the entire trip. So in this example, you would say that you're staying in an Airbnb. So you would either check that there's secure storage where you're staying, and there is actually secure storage in more accommodation than you would think in Christchurch. Other options you have are to drop them off at somewhere like hunting and fishing. So on that last admin day, you could go see the taxidermist, and then you can have it pre-arranged to have it stored overnight in one of those locations. Obviously, for the rest of the time, it's on you. So it's not an issue. It's literally in your hand or locked in the car on that first night you're camping. I didn't look into whether you can leave it locked in the car when you're in accommodation. I personally don't have that issue in the one that I submitted. I'm taking it to my mate's house where it'll be stored in a safe. But I know that there are other options for people that have been there before to do it. On the Aussie side, you've got to check with whatever airline you're going with what their specific rules are. They are slightly different. I think from memory, when I looked at Qantas, it was you didn't actually have to get a letter of permission from them if you were just taking a firearm. You only had to get the letter of permission if you were taking ammunition. And you can only take up to 50 rounds. But if you need to check with the airline what their rules are, and then in terms of the import-export, you have to get what's called a restricted goods permit to export your firearm out of Australia. So you need to get on the ABF website. To do that restricted goods permit, there's actually 3 separate forms. You have to do that within 60 days of departure. So if you're initially doing all your stuff at 4 months out, you want to wait another 2 months and then do the rest of this stuff. And at the same time, not at the same time, a couple of weeks later, but no later than 4 weeks before you leave, you've got to put in all your import paperwork. And it's through the ABF as well. It's on the same website. It's actually not that onerous. I read through the forms. I've done mine. I've done my export one for January, and it was pretty painless. I think the hardest part to figure out to get your head around it initially is just when stuff needs to be done. So if you basically think 4 months, 2 months, 1 month, that's it, assuming you've got a passport. If you haven't got a passport, probably add about 6 weeks onto that first bit. But yeah, I think the costs shouldn't be deterring anyone. The admin is a bit of a pain in the ass if you're not that way inclined, to be honest. But like I said, hopefully that doesn't deter many people either. And then it's got to make sure you're fit enough, make sure you got the gear, and go have a crack.
Yeah.
Oh, what I didn't cover. So the things I purposely excluded, like I said before, was the taxidermy costs. So I paid 150 New Zealand per tar skull, and I got 2 of them done. And I paid 375 NZ for each tar skin. And that was dropping them off in a amateur state. And old mate didn't bat an eyelid. He was just like, yep, no worries. The skins were salted. So yeah, I thought that was pretty reasonable. So what's that? Probably about, if you were to just do a euro amount, it's going to cost you less than 150 Aussie dollars. If you need to get that posted back to yourself, you'd have to add a bit for that on. But the taxidermist I went to, his name's Turner's Tannery or something, Turner's Tannery. He sorts that all out for you if you like. I just leave it there until next time I go over and then bring them back. But yeah, I reckon that's about it. I said I'd talk about fitness.
Yeah.
That's another thing I've heard, or people ask me about is, how much training do you need to do? I used to do heaps of, not CrossFit style, but heaps of, high intensity style circuit training, strength training. Before the first time I went, I was probably training more that style back then, and even more high intensity but shorter duration cardio stuff. The second time I went, I got like 10 days notice, and all I'd been doing for ages was like zone 2 running. I was prepping for a half marathon, and I'd just been doing heaps of low intensity stuff. I was running 3 or 4 times a week, doing maybe, I don't know, anywhere between maybe 15 and 25 Ks in a week, which isn't that much for a runner. Not that I'm a runner. And I actually found that I was way better prepared that time. The first time I went, I was struggling to keep up with my mate Mike. He was stopping to wait for me all the time. And while I was heaps stronger, I just couldn't keep up, and I couldn't recover. Like, I'd catch up to him and I'd be too puffed to glass for the first 10 minutes. I'd just have to catch my breath, and then he'd get up and go, and I'd just be following me again. Whereas the second time we went, kept up with him the whole time, was hardly ever out of breath. So I actually reckon, if I'm going to train up for this in the future, I'll probably just do that low intensity cardio, and then probably just in the last 4 weeks do a bit of pack work. Just get the, like, when you haven't carried a load on your back for a while and you feel it in your joints straight away, and it's more probably like the second, third day you start to feel that real weakness in those muscles you hardly ever use. But yeah, I reckon just steady state cardio and a bit of pack work at the end to finish it off is all you need to do. And that's only to make you enjoy it more. Like, really, you can just get over there and grind through it. And once you get a tar on deck, all that pain will go away for half an hour until you have to carry it back.
Well, the other thing is you don't have to go 100 miles an hour either, right? Like, I think when people talk about fitness and whatnot, it comes down to how you want to hunt. If you're covering a lot of ground, yeah, okay, you want to be super fit. But if you're going to go in and go very slowly and you want to enjoy the experience and looking at the terrain in NZ, if you're just going to go every 100 metres or so, chill out and have a good glass for 10 minutes and just keep plodding along that way, still an enjoyable way to do it. And you might not cover as much ground, but like, you're still getting that experience of hunting over there too. So like, there's different mindsets of how you want to sort of approach it. And look, I am big on fitness. I enjoy that side of things. I do like the idea of being as fit as possible because it just makes it more enjoyable. And, but I know then I think back, and some of the times that have sucked have also been the most memorable. So you're sort of shortchanging yourself there, I suppose. It just depends on your outlook.
No, don't let it stop you. If you can hunt for a full weekend in the Aussie bush, or you can stomp up and down the high country, you'd have no dramas over there. I'd say take trekking poles. That was one tip I gave someone that hit me up a while ago. I'd never used them until the first time I went, and I was so glad. I only took one pole. I was so glad I had it. So glad, especially on the last day. That was one where we helied in and walked out, and we went down this we dropped 1,000 meters in elevation in 1.8 Ks straight line distance on the map. Like, it was pretty steep. And I was coming down with 2 tar skins, which are at least 15 kg each, 2 skulls, and then all my gear. So when you're loaded up and you're coming downhill, I reckon they're a lifesaver, the trekking poles. And I just get like the cheap $50 ones from BCF or Anaconda. I don't buy the lightweight, $200 a pair ones. It was good to go.
So I just wanted to fact check myself here before saying it, but I was about to say using trekking poles, I feel, is around the 25%, like you've less felt weight in the pack and body weights.
Yeah.
And obviously Trusty AI just jumped on that and it's saying about 20-30%. Yeah. So it's that is a big difference, especially if you haven't done a great deal of pack work. A little bit of a cheat code running the old trekking poles can definitely help.
It's also good if you want to get up into the tops and get up high. Obviously, you don't want to be walking along the ridge line. Tar are quite good at seeing you on the ridge, and they're normally hiding, down on a bluff somewhere. So you're often sidling, and obviously it's steep again. So having that support just on that low side is so good for your knees and ankles. You can just really take that edge off. All that stress that you're putting through your joints when you got the pole, and that's how I did it. So we would sidle around one, and I'd have my rifle in my inside hand and just have the pole in the outside hand, and just get along that way. It was real good.
The other thing for it, I've got one here. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a platform for your binos that screw into certain trekking poles. So you literally can use it as a support so that your binos aren't shaking. It just has a latex strap that you put over the top. It's sort of like a universal adapter. But if your trekking pole has that option, which quite a few do, you can run that, and then even to the side of having running your yoke on there too, if you want to use it as a shooting stick too. So you've got a couple of different options that they become quite handy.
I just used so I bought the poles. I got a Mac Pack, that was the brand.
Yep.
And instead of having like the cork kind of pistol grip at the top, it actually just had like a big foam knob that unscrewed and had the camera thread there that you can chuck those types of like the yoke or your adapter on. I actually just left the knob on as it was, and that sat real nice in the underside of the binos.
Yeah.
And it was steady as, and I just make the thing shorter, chuck it in between my heels while I was leaning back, and I thought that was good.
Yeah.
And on spotting, don't feel like you need to have a spotting scope. Like you watch everyone hunting in NZ on YouTube and they've got one. And I would say if you have one, take it for sure. Especially if it's obviously far easier to look 2 or 3 Ks up the valley than walk 2 or 3 Ks up the valley. But I just did it all with a 10 by 42 pair of binos. And that's all my mate Mike has when we've gone out. So, you don't have to fork out for a spotting scope if you don't want to either. You can get
the other one is
the binos.
I went down, I was looking at the spotting scopes and then ended up going, I went with a digital camera, and I've got the Panasonic. Oh, sorry, not the Panasonic, the Lumix, but it's got a 60 times zoom. It weighs 700 grams, I think it is. And with that 60 times zoom, geez, it's fantastic. Not as big and bulky, obviously, as a spotting scope, but it's way better than my binos. That'd
be about the same weight, eh? Like spotting scope, that'd be over.
Oh, I reckon they'd be more than 700 grams. Yeah, and just the bulkiness of them too, like the little camera, because it hasn't got the lens. Like the lens is an automatic internal, so it just stretches out. It's an absolute cracker. And then you've got obviously taking photos while you're over there as well, which would be pretty cool for memories. So
nice.
Yeah, no, that's I'm glad I went that way, and it was tossing up between that and a spotting scope, and I just went, no, I'm gonna get that and give it a run. And mate, it's unreal. I'm super happy with it. Makes life a hell of a lot easier. Plus, just so small for in the pack too. Yeah.
What's the It's got rechargeable batteries, or you just take a power bank?
You can just replace the battery, and they're tiny. Like they literally are probably an inch, maybe by half an inch. And I just bought like 6. 6 of them, and the last trip I went on, I recorded a heap of footage, and still getting around to doing the video of that actually, but heap of footage, and used it. I reckon for a good couple of hours, on and off for a couple of hours, and I didn't even change the battery, and I had like 4 there in reserve, but never needed it. So you could probably buy that, charge them all up, and you would easily get a trip out of it. So, all right. Well, mate, is there a pretty comprehensive wrap up there? And I think a lot of people are going to be very appreciative of your work and you sharing that. So thank you from myself, and I know the listeners will enjoy it. So, but anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, mate, I think that'll do it. I'm sure if anyone's got any questions, they'll
just reach out.
But always happy to share my experience for the benefit of others.
Cool. Appreciate it. Well, if you haven't followed him, get over Athena Spatial, check him out, and mate, appreciate your time coming on and sharing your info.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
All right, listeners. Bye for now. You've been listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt. Thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to catch you next time. But in the meantime, if you want more, you can find it at linktr.ee/Australian Hunting and Beyond. That will give you our YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. We'll catch you next time.